So this here's me. My name is Travis. I'm a Canadian who's been living in Sweden for the past 2 years now. I moved to Sweden back in 2020 to play hockey, and in the last 2 years that I've been here, I've absolutely had my eyes open to Swedish culture, how Swedes live their lives, their values, and I'll be honest, at first, I was really scared, and I kind of hated it.
I just miss home, simply put.
But fast forward 2 years.
Over the last 8 months, Sweden has really truly become my home.
I can honestly say that this is my happy place and a place that I really don't want to leave. In this video, I want to share with you my experience on Swedish culture, the cost of living, the food scene, the coffee scene, lifestyle, history, and so much more. Let's get started. I honestly thought Sweden was going to be another version of Canada or the United States with a few more meatballs and that Swedish chef guy hanging around.
English burger, Swedish meatball, bork, bork, bork.
And believe me, it was anything but. I was going from huge houses, huge meals, excessive amounts of everything in Canada to be quite honest, a minimalistic place. For starters, homes, apartments, and everything in between are way smaller because Europe's been around for thousands of years and they make the most of the real estate that they have. Also, the people in North America, everybody small talks each other and asks, "How's it going? Good and yourself?" Well, that doesn't happen in Sweden. Watch this.
How'd you do that?
Thank you. It's fine. And you?
I'm very good.
You're so nice.
From Canada.
Oh, really?
After that, I learned very quickly that Swedish people like to be left alone. Now, what about the language barrier? Swedish is the official language of Sweden, but Sweden is the third most English-fluent country on earth, where English is not the first language. Now granted, the Netherlands and Denmark beat them out, but only by 2%. And I've had almost no language barrier since day one when I got here. Either people know English or they'll find you somebody who does. Maybe you can't read a sign, you can't read an advertisement, just download the Google Translate app. They have a camera feature where you can scan whatever you're looking at and it'll translate it right into English for you. That saved me a few times, but outside of that, I really haven't had any language barrier issues at all. Now let's talk about living. Sweden is home to about 10 million people. 2 million in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, 500,000 in Gothenburg, and about 300,000 to a quarter million in Malmö, the three biggest cities in Sweden respectively. The rest of the population is spread out throughout the country. Now, I spent 2 months playing for a team in the Stockholm area called Flemingsberg, or as the Swedes pronounce it, Flemingsberg, and that would be to Stockholm what Richmond is to Vancouver. It's just a suburb outside of Stockholm. After that, I spent the rest of my time living and playing in the Gothenburg area, specifically where I am right now, playing in Varberg, living in Halmstad, or as the Swedes call it, Varberg and Halmstad. More on that later. One thing we hear a lot of Swedish people complain about is the price of living. If you're coming from Canada, let's say like in Vancouver, you live in Los Angeles, New York City, you're used to expensive places. I come from Winnipeg, where, to be honest, in Canada, it's pretty dirt cheap to live compared to Sweden. Let's talk about that, especially the gas prices. I know all gas prices have gone up, but Swedish gas prices, something else. I found everything to be more expensive in Sweden. 1 Canadian dollar today is worth about 6 to 7 Swedish crowns depending on the day. And no, the Swedes do not use euros. Don't make that mistake because I did when I first came here. So right here, these pastries are about $1 a piece on sale. Probably a little bit more expensive than what you would see in a commercial grocery store in Canada. These chicken breasts, 117 crowns. They were 130 crowns, so basically about $20 for, let's say, 5 breasts. In Canada, I feel like you could probably get about the same for a little bit more than half the price. Here you have 10 large eggs, about $5. Pretty expensive if you ask me, but that's a pretty typical Swedish price. I spend consistently around $400 to $500 every single month on groceries since I moved here in 2020. I wish I had some insight into rent prices, but all 3 places that I've lived since I came here were all found for me by my hockey team, and I basically just showed up, paid the bill, and my rent is dirt cheap. It's only like $400, $500 a month at the absolute most that I've actually had to pay. Dirt cheap if you ask me, but it's also a rare situation. Based on what I've heard, Swedish rent can be about $1,500 to $2,000 a month Canadian for an average 1-bedroom apartment. What about gas? So gas is 21.5 crowns. That's about $3.25 for a liter.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. And here's the deal. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Thanks, Joe. In August, gas was around 19 to 20 crowns a liter. Fast forward to right now in April of 2022, I saw gas just the other day hovering between 25 and 27 crowns a liter. I'll leave that one to the Swedes in the comment section because if you want to piss off a Swede, ask them how they feel about their taxes. Well, the truth is you don't really need a car in most of Europe, and Sweden specifically. So this year's Gothenburg Central Station, and one of the best things about Sweden is so many buses and options for travel here. It's insane. The train systems, everything's convenient. There's always a train, usually within about 15 to 20 minutes of you. It comes every half hour, worst case every hour. Very convenient, very cheap, very affordable. So this train moving here behind me, this is called the SJ X2000. It's the flagship train for SJ, and it does I don't know how many routes between Stockholm and Gothenburg every single day. The primary 2 main cities in Sweden. Tremblers. Let me explain a little bit more. In Sweden, you have a few types of transportation. You have the heavy-duty trains run by SJ, the main carrier in Sweden, and they run all the major routes from Gothenburg to Malmo, Stockholm, all the way up north into Norway. Then you have the smaller carriers like Molotov or SL. The SL is what I took to practice every single day when I was in Stockholm, and the Öresundståg is what I took to practice this year in Varberg. SL will run you about $100 a month for a train pass, and they run trains every 15 to 30 minutes throughout the day everywhere in Stockholm. The Öresundståg is going to run you about $200 a month, and they run trains every 30 to 60 minutes, sometimes every 2 hours, depending on the day, from Gothenburg all the way into Denmark. Obviously, you have smaller commuter trains like these, but you also have regular buses, the buses that you'd see anywhere else in the world. Now, finally, you have the infamous streetcar. Now, I believe there are a few places in Canada that still do the streetcar, but they are everywhere in Sweden, and you can get them included in your monthly pass if you desired. So, for me, I got an all-you-can-eat pass from Gothenburg to Homestead. Any train, any tram, any bus I wanted, unlimited for a month. And considering that's about the same cost as 2 weeks of gas, let alone the insurance, parking, cost of a car, etc., that's a steal of a deal. The country of Sweden was literally built for being mobile without needing a car.
So one thing I was super worried about when I first came here was, are they going to do everything in miles or kilometers? Everything is kilometers, we're all good. Also, if Swedes drove on the right side of the car, it's not like the UK. On the right side, Swedes drive on the left.
Now, what's the weather like? Well, up north, it can get absolutely freezing cold, minus 30 by September, just like in Canada. I would compare Stockholm to Toronto weather-wise. It's not super cold, but it's also not super warm. The Gothenburg area where I live is probably something like Vancouver. Here's why.
Because we're right on the ocean, at least here on this side of Sweden, on the west coast, we're right by the water. So you get kind of the Vancouver, the Los Angeles effect, where you really never get snow. There's going to be a few times a year where you might get some snow. It's the middle of March, almost the beginning of April here, and I've been in shorts for what feels like almost a month. Plus 15, it was like plus 19 the other day, plus 18. Incredible.
Now, that may sound great. However, in the winter, you're going to be seeing a lot of gray, but you're also going to be seeing a lot of this.
This is the worst thing about living in Sweden, is the fact that like it rains and it rains and it rains. Like in the wintertime, I'm not kidding you, it will rain for like 2 weeks straight. It'll just keep raining, it'll keep going, and there's no sunshine for like a month. It's insane.
Visually, though, I would say Sweden is a lot like the Canadian prairie. You could watch your dog run away for 10 kilometers and never lose track of him. It's a lot of fields, plains, farms, but with a couple of hills mixed in here and there. Fun fact, by the way, the word berg is a Swedish word that means mountain. Now, I was told that this right here is the mountain that Gothenburg was named after, or Göteborg, as the Swedes would call it. You'll notice a lot of bergs. Varberg, Flemingsberg, Falkenberg. There are a lot of bergs here. Speaking of history, Sweden is probably older than Christ, and I'm not kidding you, the Vikings lived here. And although you will not see many Vikings kicking around today, you will see some seriously cool ancient architecture. Gothenburg Central Station, for example, here is the oldest train station still in use in Sweden. It opened in 1858, almost 150 years before I was even conceived. And it's the same station that millions of people departed from to head down to the water before heading over to the New World in North America for a new life. And I gotta be honest, this is one of the reasons why I love taking the train. There is just so much history. It's an absolute time machine, and it takes you back in history from the first time you arrive to the last time you walk out. Everything is so old in Sweden. It's really beautiful, it's really pretty, and it's awesome. Except for this brand new tower, or towers I should say. Let me tell you a little bit about it.
There's a building in Gothenburg called Gothia Towers. It's like the tallest building in Gothenburg, and you get some of the best views of the entire city. You can see it behind me. I'm not looking behind me because I'm terrified of heights, but I know that, oh my God. Oh, they got a pool. That's the pool. I know they have like 2 in Vancouver, but it's still cool.
So you can literally see all of Gothenburg from these 3 Gothia towers, from the Ferris wheel and the amusement park to the Scandinavium, the official home in the SHL for the Frölunda Indians, and also this soccer stadium, which I only discovered there is a professional soccer team in Gothenburg about a week ago, which is kind of cool. But it goes without saying, Swedes love their sports. They also love their metal. Hair metal may have died in North America in 1991 when Kurt Cobain came along, but believe me, hair metal is alive and it is well over here. It has not died. Now let's talk a little bit more about food. The Swedes love black licorice. If you don't like black licorice, that is okay. I love black licorice, so I'm totally okay with it, but the Swedes like it salted. But another thing that the Swedes love is called fika. Swedes take their coffee very seriously over here. Now this right here is the textbook definition of what fika truly is, but this is gonna sound really cheesy. It's more of an excuse to get out of the house and honestly get Swedish people to talk to me. If you don't have a coffee to offer, no Swedish person in the right mind will actually want to talk to you.
So on the topic of coffee, obviously you have to have some food, some pastries to go with coffee. Sugar is like super expensive to buy, to import. They don't use it as much as in North America where everything is just like sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar.
Let me present to you the semla pancake. Semla and a pancake.
It's this in pancake format. American pancakes looks like too.
The best. Gothenburg's finest. I've tried them all.
Now semla here, or as the Swedes call it, semla, is a spring pastry that is basically a Swedish long john minus the chocolate. It's dough infused with cardamom. By the way, the Swedes love their cardamom. Loaded high with whipped cream, almond paste, and finished with icing sugar. But it's not just the semla, it's the countless other pastries, including but not limited to the cardamom bulle, the cardamom bun, the vanilla bulle, the vanilla bun, or the kanel bulle, the absolute flagship of flagship Swedish treats. It's basically a cinnamon bun, but so much better. Now don't get me wrong, you have other weird Swedish foods, from hot dogs and mashed potatoes to kebab and french fries on pizza.
Well, this here is shrimp salad. This is a Swedish staple. It is literally shrimp, mayonnaise, dill, but I like it. If you don't like shrimp, you will not like this.
And obviously, the holy grail of Swedish foods, the Swedish meatball. Now trust me, I love these things. Now I promise you, since I've came here, my middle name is Meatballs. Swedish meatballs, you may have a preconceived notion of what they really are. The lingonberry sauce, which is basically like cranberries, but a little bit more Swedish. The pickled cucumbers, basically just normal pickles. The meatballs, the brown sauce. The meatballs, by the way, are infused with cardamom. That's a big theme here. Swedes love cardamom. The brown sauce, the mashed potato puree. It is incredible. And my personal favorite Swedish dish. Also, the French double. Circle K is a gas station that is everywhere in the world in North America. But in Sweden, it is not just a gas station and a convenience store, it is a delicacy. The double French. 2 wieners, 1 bun, whatever sauces you want. You can get 1 wiener, 1 bun, whatever you're into. But the crispy French bread, toasted, with these wieners, you want a cheese and bacon smoky, you want chicken, you want vegan, you want, honestly, a hot dog that's probably going to shave off 5 years of your life expectancy. You can get that, and it is amazing. It is incredible. And keep in mind, it's like $10 for a hot dog. They are so worth it. They're the best hot dogs I've ever had in my life. Now, what about work? Obviously, you got to come here and pay the bills some way. I came here to play hockey, and if you want to see my first-hand experience coming to play hockey in Sweden, you can check out my 2020-21 vlog playlist from my hockey season that year, or this year's 2021-2022 vlog playlist. I'll have a link down in the description.
I feel like coming from North America, you see pigeons in like movies and TV shows all the time in Europe. But then when you come here, you start realizing like they're everywhere. This is something I found interesting.
This country has changed my life. It has provided me with so many great relationships. I've met so many amazing people. It has opened my eyes to what's really out there in the world. Coming from North America, you're kind of taught to be egotistical in the sense of we are the best. Both US and Canada, we are the best. The whole world revolves around us, and the truth is it doesn't. There's so many other things to see, especially in Europe. The culture, the food. I could go on for hours, and although I may be leaving to go back home to see my family in a couple days from recording this video, I can't wait to come back again sometime soon.
I want to say thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the differences between Canada, Sweden, my experience. It's been 2 years, and I'm very proud to call Sweden home. It's honestly got my favorite place on the planet. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon. Bye.